Howdy folks, Brian Kusko here at Redline Report, and today we're going to have on my buddy Steven Kush. Steven is just an impressive individual. From the very first time I met him, I was highly impressed with his character, and he's done amazing things with scrub pythons since then. And so we're going to check some of them out and hear about some of the stuff he's learned over the years. You're watching Redline Report. Steven.
How's it going, man?
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming on.
For sure.
It's been a hot minute, dude.
Yeah. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Sure has.
Yeah, how have you been? How is everything?
Things been good. Been very, very happy. Just enjoying my life with snakes and trying to keep it calm, you know?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good goal in today's world, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You kind of, prioritize your mental well-being and let everything else kind of fall into place after that.
Yeah, smart. You know what? You always struck me. I remember the first time I met you. It was at Forest Place, and I think I even told you in that moment. I was like, "You're a smart kid. Like you're gonna. Do you remember that?"
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember meeting you for sure. Yeah, that was a fun day.
Yeah, that was a fun day. So you're still smart. You still have some.
I've maintained it at least this long.
So still some wisdom in your youth, because you're still young. You'll always be a young guy.
Yeah.
From my opinion. Yeah. From my perspective.
One day I won't be the kid of the reptile industry, but maybe in 10 years or so.
Yeah. Well, you've done well with what you do. You know, even back then, like I said, you showed not wisdom is the word, maturity above your years. Even I think you were a high schooler when I first met you.
Yeah, I think I was like 15 or 16.
Yeah,
we first met. Yeah.
And so you've obviously, I mean, I think that some pretty decent people. I think of like Brandon and stuff, and like people do some pretty cool with scrubs. But I don't think anybody works with scrubs that I'm aware of. And you can fix me on this. I don't think anybody works as predominantly with scrubs as you do. Maybe Rob Christian. I don't know.
I mean, as far as numbers go in the U.S., definitely not. There are some collections in the world, inevitably, some in Asia that are pretty large as well. But there have been collections in the past of scrub pythons in the U.S. that were pretty large, but they kind of were sold off by one guy to the next guy, bought back, moved around all the time. So they were never really able to settle in and produce at a high level. So, to me, when I found these animals, they were everything that I was looking for. I was a python guy primarily. I liked arboreal stuff, but I also like big snakes, be it retic, sperms, whatever it may be. So a big snake in a more manageable package, not super heavy, individually I can work with them safely. And then when I learned about how variable they were, different species and localities, that got that part of my brain going. I love green tree pythons and all the different localities and the designer lineages and stuff. And then especially once I started having my first clutches, realizing how much potential for line breeding there is in the future with these animals that have been completely untapped at all. There have been only a couple multiple generation scrub pythons ever produced. All of that really just, brought me to the place where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm focused on. And I've loved every minute of it. They're amazing snakes. They've had a bad reputation forever, as as well. You've kept scrubs of being, aggressive snakes, or they're very capable. They have long strike ranges. They're confident, but as you can see with these two right here, it is not always the case. And especially when it comes to the captive bred animals, most of them have very, very calm demeanors.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool and calm collected scrub python right there for sure.
Yeah.
And then even when I presented my finger, and it was like, wait, what is this other thing coming out of the nowhere?
Yeah.
I just was like, checked it out real quick, and funny, I had one that it was a little bit cantankerous, I guess is the right word for him, but he only when he was little, like a little baby, would he like kind of bite me, and then when he got out of it, he still every now and then he'd I don't know if you've ever seen this before when you're animals, but he'd headbutt me.
Yeah, sure.
You've had that with some animals? Okay. Sure. I hadn't, there's no other python that I've ever experienced that will headbutt you.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, they definitely have some cool behaviors that makes them a lot of fun to keep. But I feel like once they get comfortable with how you interact with them, then you kind of unlock that curious part of them. And that's when it gets really fun.
Yeah.
Like these animals right here. This to me is just curiosity behavior.
Totally.
Just slow, nonchalant tongue flicks, no real direction where they're going.
Right.
But they have that tail anchor. It's a firm grip, but it's not very hard. just to hold themselves there, and then from there they just do their thing. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I love the speed at which they move. It's
totally.
not chaotically fast. It's not slow. It's just kind of this meandering, curious speed.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I have a to your point. Like even my daughter, she was 4 or 5 when I had like I guess my scrub at that point is probably 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
But I handed to her, and she doesn't know how to hold snakes. But the snake just, I was like posted off, like did a little wrap on her shoulder and posted off her head, and like reached from her head almost to the ceiling fan. This is such a cool shot, just a cool thing to see, like a kid handling a snake like that.
Absolutely. No, it's super cool.
And then the amethyst, like that iridescent sheen that they get.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, the head scales, the pattern, like that was one of the things that got me. I was looking at its head for the first time. I was like,
yeah,
dude, that thing is sick looking.
I mean, if you look at a top down of a scrub python head and a king cobra head side by side, they have a very, very, very similar scalation. Those giant head scales are such a unique distinguishing factor about these guys. That and there no two scrub heads are the same. You know, there's some species out there where one head scale off here is a distinction of speciation. And with scrub pythons, find me 2 that have the same head structure. They're like snowflakes. It's that the pattern on their their heat pits, everything about them. It's a very intense looking head on a snake. Their eyes are big and distinctive. Just I don't know. Everything about them to me is just so fascinating.
What are your thoughts about king hornite?
They're incredible. I'd love to be able to get my hands on some one day, or even just go see one in person. I've seen them in person at reptile gardens behind glass, but to go to Australia to see some in the wild would be an absolute dream come true.
Yeah,
they're amazing. They are really amazing. It's a shame we don't have them. There were some that were privately held in the U.S. and just they never produced, and that was that.
Right. I think the Barkers had some for
the
back
Barkers had some, and I think Eugene Bissett had some as well, but just no success or no prolonged success, and then here we are, which is part of why I not say I felt responsible, but drawn to dedicate my time and space to these guys, because that could be the case with a lot of the different scrub pythons. Like I was very fortunate just a couple weeks ago to hatch out a clutch of Aru scrub pythons. The first time they've been bred in the U.S. And to me, more significantly than that, now there are more than 5 or 6 animals in the country. So that generation could potentially ensure that we have them sticking around for the long haul in the hobby. They're rare. Most people don't even know that they exist. So to lose something like that would be just absolutely tragic, considering how amazing these animals are. So I enjoy them so much that I want other people to be able to enjoy them. I want enough of them around to where we kind of spread the love, not hoard them all. It's just they're to me the most fun, most rewarding snakes to keep. I'm obviously biased, but I get that reaction a lot from people who get scrub pythons from me. They're just whether they're a colubrid keeper, a ball python, a green tree keeper, they're fascinated by the different dimensions that these snakes bring that kind of distinguish them from the rest of their collection. And I think that's what this is all about: having experiences with animals that kind of excite you, get you to learn something new, get to experience something different. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's awesome. What's going on with these 2? Is this Merauke paddleless? What's going on with these 2?
This one, the larger one right here, this is essentially like a Highland type scrub python. Okay. This is the one that I produce, and it doesn't have a typical phenotype. If you saw some of its siblings, they are very typical high orange with the lateral bars, but it has a super cool kind of double racing stripe down its back, which I've seen a few wild-caught individuals pop up that have this phenotype, but only after this one was born. So at first I was like, wow, this one is super unique, and it really still is. The smaller one here is a Wamena scrub python / Jayapura. Essentially, this is the northeastern type of scrub python, where on the northwestern side of Papua New Guinea, you have the Barnecks. The northeastern side, you have this locale, or this phenotype, which extends all the way into proper Papua New Guinea, which we don't have access to. So essentially, we have the westernmost extent of this species or locality, whatever you'd want to distinguish it as, of its range. Is actually a very, very broad range in the wild. So it's basically a northern scrub and a southern scrub. you can see obviously the morphological similarities, just their body structure, head structure. Obviously, a more mature head on this one that's a year older, but then obviously the immense color and pattern difference between the two. Part of why I love them so much. I love natural variation. I love, animals where you can learn about different locality types and all the differences and stuff like that. These guys are no exception to that.
There's a pretty distinctive locality phenotypes that make it easy to tell. Like, because I know sometimes when you're getting stuff, when things are coming in from overseas, sometimes they just get bagged as whatever they were bagged at. And
100%. And what's nice about scrub pythons, like in contrast to green tree pythons, is just how significant the difference is. Where with green trees, it's like a shade of green or yellow here instead of here, blue, white. Very minute differences to where a new keeper, I don't even have that all figured out with green tree pythons. And I've kept green trees for over a decade. So for someone who's new, that's kind of a daunting thing to come into, especially knowing that people out there are kind of trying to scam you at times, especially some of the importer, flipper type of people who, are more in it for dollar signs than the animals with scrub python. So there is definitely a good amount of mislabeling that happens. And honestly, I think a lot of it is benign. I think it's just lack of knowledge of exactly what you have. We're still kind of learning every day sometimes exactly where some of these different phenotypes are coming from. Very little collection data has ever been really, thought to be collected. So we have like the airports that they're being exported out of. There are a handful of good pictures on iNaturalist. There really hasn't been much direct scrub study in the wild. Kind of some indirect work when, from study of green tree pythons where they overlap. Some very kind of cursory data on scrub pythons has been collected, but there's so much more to learn, which for me makes it so fascinating. From what I think about what I knew about them 6 years ago compared to now, I always love when something comes across my radar that makes my does a full paradigm shift for me on what I know about the animals that I keep. Some people might have that happen and kind of, have a little bit like an ego hit of like, I thought I knew what I was talking about, and now I think I don't. I love when that happens, just getting one step closer to what the actual truth is about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the most fun parts of it, is when you think you have something figured out and you realize you were completely wrong, and now you can have new, better information.
Yeah, that's a great attitude, bro. It's not as common as you would hope.
No, but I feel like if people are talking about it, maybe people would be more comfortable to kind of let that ego part of them die off and get to enjoy what they're doing a little bit more.
Yeah, amen to that. Sweet, dude. So people want to follow what you're doing. You still got Kush's Corner going on Trap Talk Network,
yep.
And
got the podcast every Wednesday on the Trap Talk Reptile Network, and then just Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc. Trying my best to be on all the social platforms that you need to be doing this. So
yeah, cool, man. Yeah, well, thanks for coming over.
Yeah.
It takes your time, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you, bro.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Awesome, dude. Well done. I mean, I expected no less, but still.
I could talk about snakes all day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. They are so cool.
You still have the pair?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, one of them, I was raising a pair for a while, and then the years down there when I finally went to pair them, they're like, I never really checked them before, and then they were like combating. I was like,
well,
no. So I Chris Sexton got the other male from me.
Oh, okay.
And then I have a female that I'm raising up now. So
okay,
I have a pair again, but I'm
okay.
kind of still not quite the breeding stage yet.
Yes, you temporarily sent one of the males to Calvin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He told me
Nothing came of that.
Yeah, I think it was just a case of that female being like just at the bottom end of the maturity range.
Yeah.
So I think that girl should probably be ready to go soon. But it's on Calvin now. This is his responsibility.
Yeah.
So.
I forgot to mention at the beginning that if it wasn't obvious, Redline Report is brought to you by Redline Shipping. Link down in the description if you want to use that service. Check it out. It's best in the industry. And that's highly biased opinion, but it's also true. There is more interviews coming. I'm just sure of it. So if you're not subscribed already, please hit that button and stay tuned for next week when we will have another awesome interview right here on the Redline Report. And until then, y'all take care.